Welcome to our Alberta Connection Call. We at Plan Council Alberta are all about knowledge sharing so that we can empower each of the towns or communities within our province to become self-sufficient, self-governing. Every town is meant to be prosperous and every man, woman, and child is meant to be healthy. So why did we choose the name Plan Council Alberta? We are making plans and taking inspired action to create positive change while we nurture people, land, air, and nature. Plan. We are evolving far beyond politics. As we know, we do not need a federal government or a provincial government. As more and more people are waking up to the idea that they can become self-governing and step out of the controlling matrix, and then we can create a whole new life-enhancing model. So yes, we're definitely going to need some belief repowering. Towns are meant to be self-sufficient. They're meant to be prosperous. Our mission is to create a parallel society with others who have a common interest in self-governance, self-responsibility, and self-determination under natural law. As I mentioned last week, we will be undergoing a tremendous set of transitions that will result in the dismantling of much of the way we currently live. So preparation begins with having the knowledge, and that is what we offer here at Lifeforce Canada on our National Monday meetings, and that is what we're offering here in our Plan Council Alberta Connections call. That said, we do need to do our part, and what you do with the knowledge is up to you. As you can see, we talked about last week is buying ham radios, and Grant, he was right there taking action. So this is what it's all about, right? You can learn something new, but if you don't take the action, right, your life is not going to change. And the more action you take on what you learn, the better your life is going to become. Before we begin the call, I would like for all of us to just close our eyes and take in a deep breath of that life force energy. And as you're breathing and releasing, just say to yourself, with every breath in, I invite the light of love and truth into my heart. And with every exhale, I release control and fear of all outcomes. All that is done must be for my highest good and be fully in alignment with my soul purpose. I ask that this room, the space that I occupy, be completely filled and surrounded with the highest expression of love for Mother Earth, respect for all men, women, and children, and alignment for truth and freedom. And so it is. Okay, so today we are discussing private membership with Shane Pollack. My apologies, I got his name wrong, last name wrong in the email that I sent out. He's president of blackfeethealthproducts here in Alberta. He also has a background in natural resources, engineering, and exploration. And before that, he was head English instructor for Taiwanese Air Force in Taiwan. Sandra and I had the pleasure of meeting him through Svetlana last month, I do believe it was. I was trying to get a hold of Carl and Carlton. Yeah, Carlton, and because he was talking about private membership agreements during that meeting, and for some reason his email would not go through on my end. And then I discovered you, and that you were teaching this as well. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Karen, and nice to meet everybody here on the call tonight. And thanks for taking the time to be here. So yeah, she's right. A little bit about myself. Had a kind of a diverse career. Thus, currently the master formulator for Blackfeet Health Products, where we formulate about 35 different natural products in traditional ways from some of our native recipes and such, and we primarily deal with inflammation, anxiety, sugar diabetes, and gastrointestinal problems, amongst a bunch others, but those are the four main ones. Yes, I was learned to drill and blast. That was my first career. And yes, I was an English instructor for 5 years with the Taiwanese Air Force. So we're here to discuss about PMA, private member associations. We got into this because for the last, since 2017, we've been thinking about, how to, sort of start making moves to remove ourselves from the matrix, from the public domain. The public domain's a very precarious thing. It has crept into all our lives. As you know, it's a voluntary thing to operate with the public. You don't have to, but many people choose to because they've captured us with convenience. And that's basically what more or less the public has to offer is all these conveniences. And it makes, you think it makes your life easy, but they're actually capturing you and taking away your humanity. So that's I kind of smelled that early on, and Carlton and myself been just thinking about different ways to walk outside of the public and start getting away from that, because we read the definition of public, and there's a very long definition in the Webster dictionary, and a few of the things that stuck out to me, one which was just insane was, how does the public view a woman? And the definition in the dictionary is that a woman in the public is viewed as a prostitute and open to all. So that's how the public views women. And that's a very, not a nice thing, obviously. And the public it's got a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of deceit built into the public domain. They treat us as just contracts, just as human resources. They put all these labels on us like person, resident, citizen. And each of these things, is a way in which the public will contract with you. So if you go along with it and you want to be a citizen, you want to be a person or a persona or one who wears a mask, because that's what really a person is. It's a persona, somebody wearing a mask. So if you want to be, that type of, resource that's just going to be pirated upon, then, that's up to you. But for those who don't want that situation, and they want to, be the man or the woman that God created, then maybe a lawful PMA is something for you. And this isn't for the public, it's a private membership association. And maybe before we get diving deep into that, private membership associations are very old. They're not new at all. They've been around for a very long time. And it basically started with, again, the public infringing upon the man or the woman. And some of the bigger PMAs in the States where these basically kind of got popular was because of certain communities and counties being dry, meaning that there was no alcohol being permitted or sold in said community or county. And they would have a dry county. But, Americans they're very strong people, and they want to pursue their own freedom. And so, who should, somebody in the county tell anybody that, yeah, hey, you can't drink alcohol, you're an adult and you want to do that in the privacy of your own home. So this is where like the PMA kind of started picking up steam and momentum, was in the United States in those dry counties. And it was just a group of people getting together to produce alcohol for their own means. It wasn't to be sold for the public. It was to be sold, bartered, traded in their own private membership association. So that's why people, use private membership associations. It's to not necessarily promote to the public, it's to promote to their like-minded members. So Carlton and I had started putting this together this year after, researching the private membership associations. And there's a few in Canada. There's a couple that are, stronger and been around since the late 1800s, and they're primarily found in Ottawa. And again, they're mostly for lawyers and mostly for those who sit on the Privy Council of Canada. And they're right there. They still exist to this day. And, these are for the lawyers and the politicians in Ottawa who, in their off time, get together to do whatever things they choose to do in a private manner, mostly big business dealings, the things that are not talked about from a public on our TVs and whatnot, things you'll never know about. But they take care of a big business. Like there's huge business that flies around in PMAs, and they do that in their own private way, and no one needs to know anything. So how do you make business within a PMA? Well, business isn't really the right word, but how do you move goods in and out of a PMA? Well, it could be in our own homes, it could be in our own hall. Many secret societies have their own halls, and what they do behind those closed doors is what they choose to do. And unless you're a member, you'll never truly know what goes on behind those closed doors. So we basically wanted to start a PMA as a place to, offer Canadians who are like-minded to associate and just basically to determine their own freedom of association and right of self-determination. So if you're one of those freedom-loving people that feel you have the right of self-determination, then maybe the lawful PMA is something you may want to consider. We chose the word lawful instead of legal because lawful is more in tune with natural law. We don't want to be used and abused by the legalese and the system that the public currently offers. So we chose to be lawful in all we do instead of legal. Legal is our contracts, and that's something no one really wants to get caught up in. Because typically the person, citizen, or resident gets hosed every single time, gets used and abused. Where when you're in the lawful domain or the natural law, you're basically saying that you're under God's law and that you only recognize God and God's laws, and basically that you're not here to harm, harass, trespass, or steal from anybody, so there's no wrong, harm, or damage, and that's kind of what the natural law resides upon. So as long as you're not doing those kinds of things, then no one has the right to claim you as their property or to put you into contract, because you never, like when you're born, you're instantly get a birth certificate. That birth certificate basically represents a straw man, not you, but a corporation of you. And that's how the public wants to interact with you, is through that straw man corporation. And that's how they levy you and use you as a stock commodity. That's how they trade and sell your worth on an international market. And you've never known that or participated in that or allowed anybody to do that. So, but these people, in the legalese system, that's how they want to do business with you. They want to contract you through your straw man, and that's like, if you can understand that is not who you are and not how you're represented, then that's you're basically your first step out of the matrix and into this lawful realm. I guess right there, that's kind of the nutshell. If there's any questions so far, just to take.
Thank you. Yes, I'm trusting that there's going to be quite a few questions. So if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Now, I know that when we're looking at private memberships, I think one of the questions has been, okay, so here we are, we have our private membership, we have our intentional community, we bought our lands, we're over there. Would they recognize this document in knowing that we are not part of their system anymore?
You can put them on notice. You can put the whole world on notice. Basically, that's part of the PMA, is you make a public declaration saying that this PMA exists, and that if there's any liens or any claims against this PMA at this time, you have 21 days to respond. And basically that puts you in, that gives us the right to put them on notice to say, hey, we exist. And if there's no claims or no contracts on us or claims, any damages anybody wants to claim, so as long as we put them on notice, then after 21 days, we're basically good to go. It's an interesting way to start out. We wouldn't want to start out as a corporation.
No.
You don't want to do that because once you file as a corporation, then you're back into their jurisdiction. So we want to basically stay outside of the legal jurisdiction and the corporate jurisdiction, and we just want to come together as people, men and women, under the recognition of God and God's laws, and to do work that involves no wrong, harm, or damage to anybody.
Okay, and so to take that to the next level, Mark from Ontario asks, how safe and secure then, and how protected are the PMAs from outside laws and influence?
Well, that's just it. Unless we've created a wrong, a harm, or a damage, then we put the legal system on notice and tell them that we do not participate. We do not recognize any agents. We do not recognize any contractors. We do not recognize any enforcement officers. So they have no jurisdiction on us because we don't recognize their system.
Right.
As long as you don't recognize their system, use their language, use their contracts, then they have really no jurisdiction on us, and they can't put us in their realm because we've decided to walk out of their realm. And this is reality. This is God. This is beyond their fiction, right? Because it's all fiction, right?
Absolutely.
We choose to play with their fiction.
Sherry, go ahead.
Shane, I have two questions.
Sure.
Have you ever seen PMAs being overstepped by the legal and police system? And number two, what are some practical, tangible ways this is benefiting you and your business?
Okay, that's a great question. Knock on wood, we've never had anything, with the police, because we're not offering anything to the public. We only offer things to our private members, and everybody has the right to do that. Things that are like I said, alcohol, raw milk, these types of things, people, the legal system freaks out about, but we're not offering any of that to the public. We only offer this to our own members. So there's been no problem like that. And this does benefit, my particular business, because we don't really look at ourselves as medicine. We look at ourselves as food is the medicine and medicine is the food. So we're like really natural. We don't work with any pharmaceuticals or we don't even use any of the language that the system currently uses. So we've really removed ourselves far and wide from the legal system. We operate from an indigenous point of view, and from a time and immemorial point of view, and that these medicines been with us and these foods been with us since the beginning of time. So it's been good that way, and we're not in their jurisdiction, so we don't play with their with their terms, with their legal nonsense, with their Health Canada, with their FDA. We don't get involved in any of that, with their taxation. So I guess those are the big ones, is that we don't get involved with taxation. We don't get involved with their regulations, and that opens up many more doors for us.
Thank you, Shane.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's asked about driving down the road. What about IDs?
Okay, so the word driving is a very particular word. No one should ever think of themselves as a driver. Only contractors that drive for companies or are like a commercial driver, somebody that's a transport truck driver driving somebody's fuel or making a delivery of some sort of thing. So the technical word driver is only for those who are contracted to do so. Everybody else is a traveler. You're always traveling as a man or a woman from one destination to another. So you never really want to consider yourself driving. You want to only consider yourself traveling, or you're a traveler, right? So as long as you don't get caught up again in that legal situation where when that cop says, may I have your license, your driver's license? Well, right away, they have to have a reason to ask you for personal identification. You tell them you're not a driver. Like, I don't have a driver's license because I'm not a driver. I'm a man traveling. You don't want to be driving. You don't want to admit to that you're traveling. So that's, right there is one way to work around it. Another thing the cops will ask you is, do you understand me? And as soon as you say you understand him, that means you're under him, right? So again, you've submitted yourself to contract. Yeah, I do not understand you. I comprehend what you're saying, but I don't understand you.
Right.
That's maybe a better way to handle yourself. So yeah, never be a driver. You're always traveling from one destination to another. You don't have a driver's license. Another thing that you can do too on your license, to operate motor vehicles, you can write the word non-assumpsit as your signature. Non-assumpsit, just like it sounds. NONASUMPSIT. Non-assumpsit. So non-assumpsit means that you don't agree with the terms and the legalese that this license pertains to. And that is a legal way, they have to recognize that. So non-assumpsit means just that this is A, not you, your signature is not on it, and B, that you don't agree with the legal terms that, they have established for that operator's license.
Thank you. Karen.
I have a question about actually when someone joins your PMA, then what kind of a document do they agree to?
Right. So we do have a document that we've written up. It's 2 pages. It's not, super long or, super wordy, but we have that, and maybe that's something we could begin to share, as a screen share here, and you can see it. I'll read through it. It's basically that you're just going to declare yourself as a sovereign, and that you're going to recognize God, and that you're going to, live under those guiding principles. It's not that we have rules, because, kind of rules are for fools that want to go to school, and rules often get broken. We don't really want to, submit ourselves to rules, but we would rather, have some guiding principles that we all help encourage each others to live up to those principles, and instead of having the rules that, like, we're breaking rules in someone's court or something, because that's not what this is about. This is more about, teaching, understanding, education, and comprehending how to become a better man or woman, through the private membership association. And, everything that we do is sort of, there's a guiding principle to it. So if you would like me to read, I'll just start, from the top, and I'll kind of read through this and give you an understanding of what, this is what basically the PMA means. So it says lawful PMA. We're a private membership association. We do have a website, www.lawfulpma.club. It's just 2 guys working on it right now. We just started. It's not really, that excellent at the moment, but it will get better with time. From the top, it says, as a sovereign, Shane, declare our lawful PMA private member association are exercising our inalienable right of freedom of association and right of self-determination as given directly from our God creator. Unalienable rights cannot be infringed upon. Okay, so these are our guiding commandments, and we broke them up into 2 variations. Because myself, I work with a lot of Native people, and sometimes they're not Christians or Muslims or Jewish or Buddhist. We had to find how the natives go about, living as guiding commandments or guiding principles. So I'll read the first half, and this is if you're a Judeo-Christian. I am the Lord your God who has taken you out of the land of slavery, Egypt, right? So Egypt is the legal system. It is the public, right? It is what keeps us slaves. So only really yourself recognizing God can get you out of this legal system, out of this slave system. You shall have no other gods but me. You shall not take the name of the Lord in vain. You shall remember the day of rest and keep it holy. Honor your mother and father. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. So those are the 10 commandments. And, those are ways in which to live by. So on the other side of it, with our, if you're not that, Christian, come from that point of view, then we have another side of it. It says, treat the earth and all that dwell thereon with respect. Remain close to the great creator, the spirit. Show great respect for your fellow beings. Work together for the benefit of all mankind. Give assistance and kindness wherever needed. Do what you know to be right. Look after the well-being of mind and body. Dedicate a share of your efforts to the greater good. Be truthful and honest at all times. Take full responsibility for your actions. So those guiding commandments are, if we live by them, we shouldn't really have that much problems or trouble. I mean, those are, if you stick to your guns there, that's a kind of a really good way to live. And, this keeps us, focused, and keeps us, from being deceitful to each other, or trying to get an upper leg on each other, and all that dumb stuff that goes with it. Okay, so next, our freedom of association and right of self-determination are also guaranteed by natural law. Supreme natural law extends to the land where we, the people, dwell and travel upon. Supreme natural law extends to the entirety of the air and all its functions that we choose to use. Supreme natural law extends to the waters above and the waters below and all its function for life, travel, trade, and commerce. So we're talking about land, air, and water, and that really means law. Land, air, and water. So that is where we extend our sovereignty over those three things. This lawful PMA will use the natural calendar for its scheduling, official meetings, and all business. Our calendar will observe the 13 lunar cycles, for which will be called months. Each month has 28 days. Therefore, our calendar year has 364 days, with the 365th day observed as New Year. Every month will start on a Sunday and end on a Saturday. So if you look at the standard year, there's the calendar laid all out for you. There is 13 months. Each month has 28 days. Every month starts on a Sunday, ends on a Saturday. You can notice that right away, the seventh day is Saturday. That's the real day of rest. Sunday's always the first day. Saturday is always the seventh day, the day of rest. So we right away, we're in tune with natural law and with, with how God intended it to be. 13 months, each have the 28 days, equals 364 days. That 365th day is New Year's, and that starts on April 1, or what would be known as April 1. That would be really lunar cycle 1, day 1. So that is, that's where, spring starts. When you think about it naturally, like the spring starts, and that's really the start of the new year, new life, new beginnings, the new lunar calendar. So I don't know, why we celebrate New Year's on January in the dead of winter. There's really nothing new going on. It's a pretty dark and dull time. It's part of the magic that the matrix, that the cabal has used upon us to keep us captured in their matrix. So as long as we keep following their timeline, they'll perpetuate their matrix. So Carlton and I got to thinking about, what would make sense to get us out of that black magic cabal bullshit. And we figured, well, we got to change the timeline. And this is why we went back to the standard year, which is, most peoples through time have followed the standard year. The Gregorian calendar is relatively a new thing, that, when they start building the matrix, the Khazarians, this is what they used, right? Was the Gregorian calendar. So it's a way to confuse people. That's why in the Gregorian calendar it says April 1, April Fool's Day, because they literally consider us all fools, right? Because they know the real deal is April 1st is New Year. And if you don't know, then you're just a fool. So any questions on that?
Oh my gosh. I'm very awake, but I did not realize that April 1st. Oh, that makes so much sense now.
Right?
Fool's Day. Amazing.
Yeah. So that's they consider us a fool because we're ignorant to the truth, right? And that's what perpetuates their lie, their magic. And so we just went back to the standard year. And it's a very, when you think about it, it's a simpler way to do business, because that every day, every beginning month is going to be a Sunday. Every day is going to end on, every month's going to end on the 28th. That every 5th, 12th, and 19th, 26th is a Thursday. Nothing really changes. It doesn't bounce around, scatter your brain. Like following the Gregorian calendar is, it seems like every year Easter changes, Mother's Day changes, all those kind of things. So they keep us bouncing around, and this is just a way to kind of straighten things up and make it more congruent.
This is so great, Shane. Everyone here is really enjoying your presentation, so thank you.
Okay, right on. So that's the calendar system which we choose to operate. Now, if you're outside of the PMA and like you're at home and doing your thing and you want to follow your calendar, the Gregorian, then do so. But it's just that when we do business inside the PMA, this is how, we'll follow that calendar. So we're actually looking at, maybe a quick thing to get to make some revenue for the PMA. If we could create a joint calendar, something to sell people or, trade with people, a nice calendar, some nice pictures, and, just to put a different calendar on the wall that, starts, putting it into your mind, right?
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's just something simple. Okay, so we'll continue. This lawful PMA guarantees any natural man or woman, irrespective of race, color, or spiritual beliefs, who have joined this association and agrees with the lawful PMA's private member association guiding commandments. Every member is to give their affirmation and agree to the collective membership agreement, providing said member has not been sanctioned, excised, or otherwise banned by the association. Will provide a lifetime medium through which its individual members may associate for actuating and bringing to fruition the purposes heretofore declared. The association members' rights of complaints or grievances will be settled by an association designee, committee, or tribunal, and will be waived by the member for the benefit of the associations and its members. By agreeing to this membership, the member will agree that they have sought out sufficient education to determine that this is the course of action which they will take for when participating within this lawful PMA, private membership association. So that basically says if you have any grievances or someone's did you wrong, you will take it up with the private membership association, meaning you're not calling the cops, you're not calling the legal system. We'll take care of it internally. Okay. And that's just kind of the way we have to roll. I am voluntarily changing my capacity from that of a public person to that of a private living member when participating anytime within this lawful PMA. My activities within the association are a private contractual matter that I refuse to share with the local, provincial, territorial, or federal investigative or enforcement agencies. I agree not to pursue course of legal action against any fellow member of the association unless that member has exposed me to a clear and present danger of substantive evil, and upon the recommendation and approval of the association. I understand that my membership can and will be revoked if I engage in abusive, violent, menacing, destructive, or harassing behavior towards any other member of the lawful PMA. This living agreement consists of the entire promise for the membership in the association. So we're just basically saying that no one is going to run off and tell the public what we do and how we do it. We promise not to, talk to the feds or to any police. We can take care of everything internally, provided that it's not like murder or like, some sort of substantial evil. So we're almost done. So the affirmation would be, when you join here, you would say out loud, I do solemnly promise and declare that I will maintain the lawful PMA and uphold its natural sovereign laws and the natural laws of the land, air, and water, and that I will fulfill my duties faithfully and in accordance with the lawful PMA, private member association, and the natural sovereign laws, and that my aspirations and capabilities will also be to the service and welfare of the sovereign members of the lawful PMA, as well as to my immediate self and family. And then it says autograph. So the autograph is whatever you want it to be. And we also ask that you use a thumbprint with red ink. So you could just write I am in your thumbprint. That's how I do it. I just say I am and my thumbprint. That's my identity. I don't have to use my name anymore because that name is, I'm kind of looking to lose it and get a new name because that's something that was thrust on upon me and that is caught up in some legal garbage, right? So I'm looking to never use signatures because signatures are for contracting with the legal system. We're looking just for your autograph and your thumbprint so that, that's truly who you are as a man or woman. We don't care about your signature. We care about your autograph, the living person. So that's the totality of the PMA. It's just 2 pages. The website is something that's going to be just a tool. It's not the PMA. The PMA is basically like what we're doing right here, eh? We're in a private chat room. We're all men and women coming together to discuss education. And we feel that that's the premier product of any PMA is the education. It's the knowing or the unlearning of the system and the learning of the new, not new because it's not new. It's the unlearning of what's been thrust upon you, the legal system, and how to, become the living man or woman that you're to be, and to have that power of God within you to create or to generate or to educate, those types of things, those types of actions to make your community better, for your family, for your community, for your country. And that's really what this is about. This isn't really about, how you're going to become rich or how, any schemes or things like that. It's not to say you can't become rich using PMAs because lots of people have did that, but it's more about how you did it with community and how you learned or unlearned or are becoming something better than that you were before. So it's just a place to gain strength, knowledge, wisdom, and community because our community has kind of been shattered. And, this is, like you said in the beginning of the call, we're building a new parallel system. And I think to do it in the private is probably the most beneficial and secure place to do it. We do have a little bit of a motto that we've been working with is freedom and prosperity through privacy. So we would like to see everybody, have their freedoms and prosperity, but use that private domain, that powerful domain to do it. Another thing that came up was like, how do we own things collectively, or how do we have a bank account? So a PMA does not have to be incorporated. It does not have to have a business number. It can be the Royal Bank of Canada does recognize private membership associations, probably because of one of the oldest banks in Canada, and probably because most of these secret societies and these other powerful PMAs that to use bank accounts in the PMAs. So I'm not really pro bank account, but it's okay to run our day-to-day operations through the bank account. But the big part is having an international private trust. And this is where we would hold all our assets, all our big money, anything that's, collectively held, would be held in that trust. And we all seen, like in the, February, March, how easy it was that the Canadian government crawled into our bank accounts and froze them up and locked them up. So we don't really want to get involved with, too much banking other than our day-to-day operations, but all the big money, all the big properties, anything, big technology, that would be all held in trust. And having access to an international trust with an assurity attached to it makes it very, very difficult for any government to dig into it. That's the best place to do our work, is in that private trust. Any other questions?
That's amazing, Shane. I was just talking to a friend of mine, Will, he lives in Alberta, and he thinks that private membership is the way to go. He believes that it will be the trust to it. I think that that's his direction too, is that's how we're going to be funded. Brian, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Shane, you're based out of Edmonton?
I sure am. Yep.
Okay. I was just curious. I've been doing this dance for quite some time. You have a car, a truck, a motorcycle, something you're traveling in. You have no driver's license?
I do have a driver's license. Yep. I still operate, but I never consider myself a driver. I have an operator's license to operate my vehicle. But it is something that you really, truly don't need. There's been a number of, lots of people in Canada that just that travel literally without license, and you just got to know the language. And if you know the language properly, there's nothing, unless you've fractured something, you've caused harm or damage with that vehicle, there's nothing a cop can do to stop you from traveling. It's guaranteed under the rights and freedoms.
I've done this dance in court a little bit, and I had registration. I didn't have my registration in, but your vehicles are registered as well?
I have one vehicle, yes, registered.
Yeah, we don't want to use vehicle because that's a commercial term as well. So, okay, drivers, and then of course you have insurance as well. So this is all part of the, what I have learned is that you shouldn't need a driver's license, and you shouldn't need registration either. And I've gone into court and I've argued with them about the driver, the definition of driver, somebody engaged in trade and commerce. And the word traffic is basically trade and commerce. And basically the judge, they ignore the legal and lawful definitions of these words, and they say it's nonsense, and they just fine you just like anything else. So I'm curious, have you had experiences in traffic court where you have been successful trying to fight these fines and such?
So we have a gentleman within our PMA. His name's Leo Cody. Some of you may or may not know him. He specializes exactly this. It's not so much in the natural law as it is in the common law, but there is a number of things to say and to write to get the monkey off your back, if you will, when you're in court. The first thing that happens is that you may have a lawyer that you think is representing you, but really the lawyer is representing your straw man, and you got to go in there and you have to know the language, and you have to be very confident on that language, and you have to know exactly what to say. Like pretty much one wrong word and then you're back in contract, you're back in jurisdiction. So it does, I've seen it work a number of times in traffic court. Luckily not, I've never did it because I never had the opportunity to do that. But there's been a number of people here in our network that have, successfully got under the trappings of, the bullshit that they put us under, and it wasn't because they had caused any, it was just, cops are basically pirates, on the waterways, which is our highways, right? And you have to know how to how to navigate yourself from being a victim of these said pirates, right? And it has been done a number of times. I'm a rookie at it. You're probably a rookie at it, and that's probably why you got fined. You must have not had.
Well, yeah, I'm a rookie at it, but I had a lot of attention in there when I was making my case, because I didn't have a lawyer either, but I'm making my case. And the police, there were several police in the courtroom at the time, and their eyes were bulging open and they couldn't believe what I was saying. And at the end of the case, the judge finally said, like, he's basically responding to my definitions. He says, "Oh, your definitions are nonsense." And these are out of Black's Law Dictionary, Bouvier's Law Dictionary, Parlex Legal Dictionary. They're not nonsense. And he also said to me, "I don't like you." He said that to me. "I don't like you." And with that, I have, like what you have, a smile on your face. I thought, he doesn't like me. I felt like that was a victory in itself. But I am very curious to engage in discussion with people who have been successful. And I've done this dance on occasion, and I'm going to be doing it again twice in September. So
Okay.
I would be very interested in contacting people that have had positive experiences with this.
There is a gentleman out of Calgary that we work with. His name's Darren, and he works with a couple of other guys. One of them being Russell J. Gould, who uses the syntax grammar.
Mm-hmm.
And first, this is truly the first step of getting out of the matrix. Is you have to know who you are. You have to know how to properly represent your name. And your name in the current context on the birth certificate is not who you truly are. So and this is something we can all learn to do. Registration of live birth, exactly. So okay, so you're on that. So this is part of the syntax grammar and the making that claim to live life. Yours said live birth, right?
Yes.
Okay, I mean it's the same thing. So right away. So that is, and is your name represented on there as it
Yes,
should?
it is, yes.
So say your name as it's written.
Mays, Brian Reginald.
I think it's missing some syntax. There should be. You have to recognize the commas and spaces. There's a proper way to represent it, and it doesn't sound like that's the right way. So anyways, not to say like you're wrong, or we're all trying to learn this, but the guy that I spoke with out of Calgary, he has been to court 99 times, okay, on these same things that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He's never lost.
And this is the thing that I'm having a lot of trouble with is I keep hearing of people saying you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, but I've never been a witness to anything that's been successful. And I've been down this road and I'm trying to practice myself. We learn as we practice. Absolutely. And just I'll yield.
Thank you, Brian. Great questions. And Shane, I would love to get Leo Cody. I've emailed him. My friend Summer knows him very well, but it'd be great to get him on. It would be great on our Monday call.
Yeah, it would be good to get him on. He's real smart about it. He's doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few videos of him. Selma.
Hi, how are you?
Doing swell. Yourself?
Good. So I had a few questions for you. The first question being, do you have an Alberta health card? And if so, what would you do if, let's say you had to get surgery, God forbid, how would that scenario play out in the private member versus accessing that service? Second, going back to the whole driving thing or traveling, let's say you do get into a car accident, then what about insurance? What about who pays what? There's a lot of things that just don't make sense.
Right. So I mean, I have insurance. However, you don't have to have it. It means that if you hit somebody and you cause somebody else's, damage, then you'll have to pay for that, right? So that's still on you. If you've caused somebody else's damage, and you have to take full responsibility for it, just like it says in the PMA, you know, you have to take full responsibility for your actions. So nothing really changes there. You're just choosing not to pay, you know, another entity for this set insurance that, you know, you may or may not use. You know, most of the time we don't use it. And again, you know, it's up to our PMA. Who's to say, well, we can't have our own insurance? Who's to say we don't have our own doctors? Like one of the main reasons why I started, you know, got into the PMA was because of healthcare. The healthcare in Canada, you know, in my opinion, is, you know, they're doing murderous things. They're doing very damaging things. I don't believe in their medicine. I'm a natural medicine man. I don't use any pharmaceuticals. I never would use any pharmaceuticals. They all have side effects. So we have a very big medicine bag, and that's one of the main reasons why I got into it. Another big component of this PMA is we've aligned with, you know, Ezra Wellness, which is another situation that came out of British Columbia. You know, Svetlana Dalalana, she was a nurse, 21 years. Last October, she wouldn't take the jab. On October 21, they fired her and like 11 other nurses and like 9 doctors. They all got fired out of Grand Forks. They walked out and said, you know, screw you. We'll just go in and we'll start our own practice. You know, we'll start our own private clinic. And that's exactly what they're up to. That's exactly what they're doing. And you know, I met Svetlana at a function, I think it was in February. And, you know, I was already on to the PMA thing. And I said, you know, Svetlana, we should align ourselves with, you know, through the PMA to create, you know, this alternative healthcare network. So that was our first slice at it. Our first stab was because of the healthcare system. So we know that system's going to fail. It's already failing. You know, I think, you know, when the truth does come out, a lot of these doctors and nurses are going to be up for, you know, murder, manslaughter.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what's going to happen. And, you know, but from our point of view, what we put into this PMA is what we'll get out of it. And there's no reason why we can't build an alternate parallel system that is 10 times more efficient, and, you know, with the best medicines and with the best doctors, and it's all private. You know, for the most part in America, all healthcare, like the best healthcare in America, is private.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just had one more question. What is the fee for the PMA Association?
So we're not sure exactly how to set that yet. We're thinking around $100 a year would be sufficient. But if you don't have the $100, we would like to see you apply your capital, meaning it could be in another form or labor. You know, there's only really 3 types of money in the world. Everything else is fiat or currency. And there's only 3 types of money, which are gold, silver, and labor. Those are the only truly 3 recognized forms of money. Everything else is fiat. So we would be accepting, like, if you look at my background, those are the 8 forms of capital. And I try to practice that every day within my life. And it's to get ourselves uncaptured from just, you know, every day being participating with fiat. And you think that, you know, money is the all, you know, is what is the all said and done. It's just money. Everything's about money. And if you don't have any money, then you're broke and you're poor. But that's not really true. There's 8 ways to apply capital. And these are the 8 forms of capital. So as you can see them, there's natural capital, intellectual capital, there's material capital, and there's financial capital. So those are 4 of the outside ones. And then on the inside, we have spiritual capital, experience capital, social capital, and culture capital. And those can all be applied in a different manner to represent value. When you apply the 8 forms of capital here and you add them all up, that should be what your trust is worth. Okay, so like, you know, I've did projects where we're applying social capital, or when I make medicine, I have to change the food to medicine. How do I do that? Why bring it to a medicine man, a real deal Cree medicine man, or a real deal Blackfoot medicine man? And they'll pray over it and they'll sing over it. And that's when that food and the vibration changes from, food to medicine. So that's applying spiritual capital. How do I reimburse that medicine man for doing that for me? Well, what I typically do, I don't want to offer him money because it's inappropriate. And for that type of situation, it's not the right thing to do. So I say to the medicine people, I say, thank you for doing that for me. Now take what medicine you need for yourself or your people. So it balances out. So for me, we produce top-notch medicine that is done in a cultural way, which applies, again, another form of capital, and the spiritual way, which again is another form of capital. And it works out for all of us. So if we just learn to understand how valuable we actually are, our skills are worth value, our materials are worth value, our intellectual capacity is worth value. If anybody is an inventor here or anybody creates things of value, then that you can apply that in other ways in the community. So I'm just saying, don't be captured all the time by money or this fiat. Learn to exercise your 8 forms of capital and to use that to bring other means to your life. Like another great point I worked on was the social capital, which is in the red there at the bottom. We're infinite beings of power. We can manifest anything if we just allow ourselves to do it.
Shane, everything that you are expressing in the last hour, I think that I speak for everyone here, that we just feel so light, and it's so refreshing to hear what you were sharing, because our structure that we had in our applying councils and our provincial councils and in our county and town councils, it was just very corporate and it just very heavy. It didn't feel good. It was a stepping stone. And now that you're here, I think that we are going to be having an amazing conversation in the weeks ahead in regards to creating our private membership associations in all of our councils. So thank you. And Selma, great question. I love what ignited in Shane and all the sharing has taken place. Shane, do you have time? We've got a few more questions here. Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, Claudia, go ahead.
Hi, Shane. First of all, on your paper, I love that you have mankind. You're wonderful because we are kind men, right? Some of us have a womb. That's it. I love that. On the driver's license. So you have one. I heard that people keep their driver's license even though they don't operate under it to rent a car, because you need the driver's license and credit card and whatnot to rent a car, right? Unless you never want to rent a car if you go somewhere, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and yes, the questions in the chat. What do you call your months? Just months, first month, second month?
Yeah, they're typically called a lunar. So like April is the first lunar cycle.
Okay.
May here is our second lunar cycle. So we just had a full moon 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
So now we're beginning our third lunar cycle, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Okay.
so each that's it. So it would just be like 1 lunar cycle, 2 lunar cycle, or 1 moon, 2 moon, 3 moon, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But that's the way in which to do it. It gets us out of that black magic that we've been put into. That's exactly how they keep us perpetuating in their matrix, is through that Gregorian calendar.
Yeah.
So we just have to remove ourselves from that timeline and get into our own natural timeline.
Yeah. You know what I heard? I actually heard a lot of that. It's just the man I heard it from. He has some other ideas that I don't agree with, so I haven't heard him for a long time, but I heard this New Year's celebration that we currently have is to just make you depressed, because it's deep dark winter and it's
Yep.
January 1st and you go, good grief, another 3 months of winter. That's why that is, I heard, but I don't know. Okay, last question. We farm And that's one of the things that I'm looking into. And the other one I have more trouble with. Brian here was showing his life birth certificate. I have German citizenship, and that's, I know it's a bad word, but so I'm not a Canadian citizen. So getting my life birth, I can't even fly with the whole, you know what, right now. It's different. So with the land, I don't know, can you do it without liberating yourself first? Kind of. I thought we have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, you're right. You have to liberate yourself first. Brian doesn't have a live birth certificate. He has a live uh, I call it the claim to live life. He has a live. Is it a live birth certificate you have, Brian, or is it a live claim to
Certificate of live birth.
certificate of live birth? Right.
Registration.
Yeah. So
Not it,
like,
right? No. Okay, gotcha.
so these are things we can start to do to like liberate ourselves. When it comes to flying, again, we're kind of captured by our own thoughts because we only know the matrix. So when you say, "Oh, I can't fly here," no, you can fly there. You just can't fly with the current situation. So meaning we have to have private charters, and those exist.
Mhm.
You know, those
Yeah.
exist. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no,
we can,
I know.
yeah.
I have Mennonite friends, a grand each to fly to Mexico. Yes, we have to organize that. I'm all in for that. But you know, I wonder if I'm over 50. I wonder if that paper even still exists to find that in that hospital where I was born, right? And then go from there, right? Because that's the start of it, right? Okay, so the land, how do you guys have your private membership meetings on your own private membership land, or how do you guys do
Yeah,
it?
so we just had one just a few days ago. We were in near Edson, Carrot Creek, Alberta, and we all showed up to help another member out to put a roof on his greenhouse, to dig him a garden, plant 25 trees, do a whole bunch of transplanting, you know, to help, you know, him and his initiative. So yeah, so it's like if you're here, you're part of it. That's really what should the model be. If you're here, you're part of it. And just like right now, like we're having a private discussion on Zoom. So you're here, you're part of it. I'm here, I'm part of it. Everybody that's here, all these, you know, 69 participants, they're all here, they're part of it. So if you're here, you're part of it. And, you know, we do this in our houses. We can do this on our farms. You know, I would love to see, you know, a collective piece of land bought, you know, where we all throw in as a common property, and that would be owned by our trust. And you know, maybe we have some. I'm really into monolithic domes because they don't break down. They're fairly inexpensive to build. They're very durable. They're very indestructible, and super strong and great against, you know, the Alberta's weather. You know, whether it be hot or cold. So I'd love to see, you know, a place come together where we could, you know, just like some of these, you know, secret societies, they have halls. You know, we could have and that's, we're not being secretive, we're just being private, where we have our own hall, our own place to do our own business in, and you know, carry our agendas forward or present new ideas. I mean, everybody on this call is probably smart in their own way, have something awesome to offer. You know, I only have, you know, I've only have a few skills. They're pretty noble. Like, you know, I'm heavily involved in food and medicine, advanced materials, fuel making. But, you know, everybody has their own unique set of skill sets. And that's really what makes us all function and become, you know, better human beings. And I'm all about showing somebody how to make medicine or how to grow better food or, you know, I believe in open source technology. I don't want to hold any secrets. I'm not a leprechaun. The gold ain't all mine. I don't care. I'd like to share what I got because that's who I believe I am. And, you know, just be kind to people and share what you have. And that's I think a good philosophy to live by.
Thank you, Shane. This is so great. Hi, Kate, go ahead.
Hi, Shane. Thank you for sharing with us. I have a couple questions. One about private trust. When you said that it's difficult for government to put hands on trust, but you still hold trust money in the banks. Do I understand this correct, or you just put it in the gold and dig it the hole in the ground and put your gold there? How
I
do
love
you
your
trust?
thinking on that. Yeah, digging a hole in the ground is still one of my favorite things. No, but there is international trust that I'll give you guys an example here. For those who know Dr. Nagase, the Japanese doctor here from Alberta, he's kind of been on his truth train there for probably about a year and a bit. He just gave a really nice presentation about 2 weeks ago on a private membership association in British Columbia. And it was a whole town, a small village got together, and they all formed their own private membership association. And then they told the county and the province of BC, we're not paying your taxes anymore. We're not participating with you anymore. And in fact, all our houses and all our land is all held in trust, an international trust, backed up with an surety bond. So that means that when they took proper control over their land, they're also claiming the mineral rights, the ground under them, and the sky above them. And when you put that into an international trust, now you can make claim to all the minerals that are below you. So it becomes exponentially more worth something. So then they wrapped it up with, I believe, an surety bond, which makes it really hard to pack into. It makes it very difficult for the government to go after, because it will cause them now to spend millions of dollars going after it, because the bond the bond is wrapped in the surety, and that means it's recognized internationally, and it's very difficult to take it away once you've started that progress. So the BC government would have to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to reverse that. So they've made great success. I want to go speak to that community and know exactly what they've done. But Dr. Nagase, he put it out there, and once he put it out there, the cops were literally the RCMP was literally chasing him down across Alberta, from speech to speech. So he had to be very careful about how he did things from that point on. But he kind of let the cat out of the bag and showed the people how to do this. And that one little community there in BC is already doing it. So this is something, again, we could come together and, have a trust and put our assets in that trust. And then if we want to move on to another project, say like for me, I'm a big food guy first, right? Like grow mushrooms, grow hemp, grow the hottest peppers in the world, whatever food, we should be growing more and more and more food. But how do we do that? Like how do we come together in a trusting, peaceful way to put money in to do something? And that's the beautiful thing about the PMA is there's no central leader. I'm not the president. There's no president. There's no vice president. There's nothing like that. Everything is done by consensus, by we the people. Everything's voted upon. So it's true democratic process where the majority rules. Anybody can put out a project or an idea. Hey, we should invest into this, or we should do that. But whatever the tribe decides is what we do, right? And that's the beautiful thing about it. You may have a great plan, a great idea, an awesome initiative, but that's the beautiful thing about a tribe or a group of people. It's that collectiveness that actually allows us to survive. That's why we're all here today, because it was the decisions that our ancestors made as a collective is the reason why we're still here.
Thank you for answering. I love Dr. Nagase. He is awesome guy. He doing what he says. He preaching what he says. This
Absolutely.
is what I like about him. But my second question is about, should we all do what we preach? Like, we all know that we shouldn't be having driver licenses. We shouldn't be dealing with cops. We shouldn't be going even to courts. This is answering to Brian's question, because when you go into the court, you're dealing with in their matrix court. They will not honor your right. They absolutely will mark you as much as they could mark you, and they would never tell you that you're right or your definition is right, because you're using code that belong to this matrix. So we have to create our own codes.
Yes.
And as far as I'm concerned, the good idea would be create PMA of people who just don't want to participate in the system, like one big PMA with one court system or maybe two, and our own law enforcement and all of this. So like we shouldn't be even be separated by little community. It should be kind of a society, big
You're
PMA,
right.
private society with
Yep.
own system and own law enforcement if we need it. As far as I'm concerned, if we all live by all this God's law,
Commandments.
we don't need enforcement.
Exactly.
Don't. So like, and I already stopped paying taxes for 5 years ago. I don't carry insurances. I'm asking you, why do you have a driver license if you teach all of us not to have them? Why do you
Well,
pay an insurance?
I'm not saying not to have one, but just do what you want, you know, have one or don't have one. Like we all kind of got a journey to go through, and I'd like to see all of us, you know, get out of the matrix fully, completely. It's a big process. It's not going to be easy. You know, our subconscious is addicted to the matrix, right? Our bodies are addicted to the matrix. All the good foods, you know, the fast stuff, this, that, the convenience of us all. But that's exactly how they captured us, is because they know we love convenience, and we've been captured by that. And we really need to do our best to resist the convenience of the matrix and make each other stronger and stronger, so we can, you know, be the infinite powerful beings that we are.
Well, not only this, they spell us with the words. For example, like good morning, which all of us use, mean mourning, you mourn for the dead. Mourning, the process mourning for the dead, and how they put in our mind that we are dead, and we tell everybody when who you meet, good morning, you mourn for yourself or for your friend.
Yeah,
Like
we're definitely going to be changing our languaging as we move forward. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, our whole language, like the English language, we're speaking in a maritime legalese system. They've really screwed us around with our language. English has become a bastardized, dubious language, multiple meanings for the same words. And this is how they run the matrix. This is how they run the scam on us. This is how, like you said, like good morning, like we're more like mourning a death. Again, it's they've got us under a spell, and we have to recognize that. And how do we stop the spelling? Like, you know, you learn words, spelling. There's cursive writing by putting curses on things. We have to basically unlearn almost everything we've learned and relearn what matters, what matters to God, what matters to the land. You know, everybody should know how to plant something. If you have no connection to the land via planting, I don't think you're truly human yet. Like you're still not, you're not there where you should be. But just understanding who, like, you know, comprehending who you are, how you're going to conduct yourself is a huge step in the right direction. Otherwise, we're just staying in the matrix, using their language, using their fiat, you know, the whole system they've created. And we only use it because it's easy to use, and that's all we know to use. But we really have to start relying on ourselves and use what we can create. And we have so much more power than them.
So true, Shane. Thank you. Tanis, go ahead.
Shane, my goodness. I just want to say that how wonderful and synchronistic this conversation you're having with all of us tonight, because we had our meeting today, and everything basically you were talking about is what we had talked about at our meeting. And I'd like to touch on the thing with value, because that was brought up, and the way that we think of value. And it's not about money. It's about, we had to start thinking about what the word value means. And it was a great topic. So like I said, I really love the synchronicity. The one question I had was, so like we are thinking of getting this large acre farm, and we want to sell microgreens. So not only would we be driving, a driver would have to go from the farm to town to deliver goods, because it would be a driver then. So, but also as a PMA, could you still sell to the public, not just your private members? So those are my two questions.
Yes, microgreens is a great business to get involved with. It's food. Of course, you can still deal with the public and your private PMA. It's up to you. You can participate with the PMA as much or as little as you want. It's totally on you. There's just some things like there's nothing illegal about a microgreen to buy or sell it, obviously. But just say if we were making alcohol, ethanol, right? And you're a woman, you're an adult, and if you choose to drink that vodka or that alcohol, then that's on you. That's your business. Say you wanted to buy it from me, well, that's your business too, and that's my business. We don't have to broadcast that to the public. Is all. So all we're saying is that we have much more options. We have much more availability than somebody in the public domain. But when we're dealing with said things, we have to only deal with the private domain. So two things I tell you to do with microgreens is understand what a microgreen is. They grow fast and they're a perishable. They have a very small shelf life. So I would tell you to grow them fresh and to sell as much as you can fresh. But for anything that is starting to wilt or die in the vine, if you will, is to freeze dry them. Freeze dry those microgreens. Do grow many different kinds. I'd say at least 7 different kinds, and begin to have a melody of those microgreens. Freeze dry them, pack them up into a bag, and because all the moisture is gone, it retains all the nutrition. You do not longer need any other preservation, refrigeration, all that, and they'll last for 25 years. So a scoop of microgreens freeze dried, could be all your vegetables in a tablespoon in every morning. So just go online and see what freeze dried microgreens are worth. It'll blow your mind. I really want to get into the space of freeze drying because I do hot peppers, and I want to get into strawberries as well. Like a 5-gallon bucket of freeze-dried strawberries is like worth $600 US. So, I would implore each and every one of you to get involved in the food game at something simple as growing microgreens, or, as advanced as growing cannabis and mushrooms, anything that we can do to produce more value for our PMA or for just, society in general, do that. Get some chickens, ducks.
That's all on our list too there, buddy. Yeah, you betcha. Yeah. We got a lot of things going on. We've done a lot of homework already too. But I do appreciate you telling us about the freeze dried, because it's not something we actually talked about. We did talk about doing marketing research and making sure that we can sell all of the stuff that we grow too. But that is a great opportunity. I didn't know that it was such a big market actually. So it's a freeze dried.
There's an international market. If you just say you put a 40-foot sea can together of freeze dried microgreens, it would be worth millions and millions of dollars. You need a small army just to, secure it, because I'm serious. Freeze dried food is worth a lot of cash.
Okay, so you didn't say anything about the whole driver thing. Is there a way that we can get around that?
Yes, of course there is. It's just, we could make, as a PMA, we could make our own ID. Why not? You pass the test, you can drive. There's no reason why we can't be doing that. It's there. I know a gentleman in Kinniqui Nation, which is in Ontario, Mohawk. and he's been driving with his own ID for 25 years. There's nothing they can do about it. He's
Driving
a
or
sovereign.
traveling though.
Sorry,
Because-
traveling
because
in his
yeah.
vehicle for the last 25 years without incident. So, and
but if he's but what I'm saying is because, if we're taking goods and, from the farm to town, that would be considered a driving thing because they, you know what I'm saying now?
well, I'll put it in the mail. Why
Put it in the
drive?
mail?
Yeah.
Okay. I still have to drive to town to go to the mail.
Well, there's ways, we just got to be dynamic and think through what we're doing and think, these people that put together this matrix, they're not necessarily that intelligent. They're just clever because for them, it's a means to an end to contract with us, but there's no intelligent design about it. It's a clever design. It's malicious in its intent. So that's why it's dysfunctional. And that's why we don't want to participate with something that's dysfunctional, because we're functional people. We're lawful people. Okay. We don't participate in being mischievous or trying to swindle somebody for money. We're not pirates. We follow God.
Yeah, no, I love all that. And you know what? I just thought we could actually contract that out to someone that with a driver's license.
Well, again, with the PMA, we don't always have to think about contracts. We can, in fact, do that. But under a PMA, why can't we just be in agreement? We don't contract with God. We're in agreement.
That's true.
We don't need the contract. We just need to agreement. And, if somebody gets nefarious or tries to do something dumb, then you get kicked out of the PMA and you're back to the matrix. It's like going to prison.
Yeah.
So it's about that dynamic thinking and trying to, be in the future instead of being locked.
Thank you so much, Shane.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tanis. Great questions. And great questions, everyone. This has been amazing. I feel so light right now. This is incredible. I know that for everyone listening, I think that we need to have action steps. Moving forward, what are you willing to take action on in regards to what Shane has shared with all of us this evening? And I know that we're going to have many more discussions in our group here to step into private membership. Shane, you are incredible. I look forward to having you on here again. I would love for you to join Layforce Canada. And I know there's potentially other provincial plan councils that are here that may want to interview you as well. We are actually going to be having a gathering here in Calgary in July. And if you're in the Calgary area, we'd love to connect with you.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. No, I appreciate everybody taking the time and giving me the time to explain some of these things to you. By no means I'm an expert. I'm just a guy trying to think his life through the matrix and get out of this. So, my daughter can have a shot at real opportunities and not be taken advantage of like I was taken advantage of, not been abused like I've been abused. And all of us been abused to some or lesser degree by the matrix. And I'm not doing it no more. I'm tired of that. And, I'm smarter than that. It's up to me to have that strength, and I find that through God. And God gives us these opportunities, and we really just, the more we can connect with that higher spirit, I think our future is unlimited with potential. It's unlimited.
Yes, absolutely. We are divinely amazing, brilliant human beings. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And have a great night, great rest of your week. And remember to be on those think tanks, because that's where we really empower ourselves in the different pillars. Again, lots of love, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Great call.